Venture into the shadows with hosts Jordan and Ashley as they peel back the veil to reveal in-depth images into a different realm. One of strange events, places, occurrences, phenomena, and sometimes even horror. Join them as they journey through the spooky door.
In this episode, we are joined by our friend Mel, who's had all kinds of experiences starting from when she was young, from Ouija boards, strange creatures, and all those things go bump in the night. We also discuss sacred Indian mounds, which are spread all throughout Ohio. She shares her knowledge of working with positive energy in the face of negativity, self-healing, and self-empowerment. She's also the creator of the channel of Shadow and Light, which will be launching this fall. Mel also shares a very insightful and rather humorous story involving a tree. So draw open some windows and journey with us through this spooky door. And welcome to the spooky door. We have Mel with us today, and she is going to, well, before we even get started, what's some your earliest experiences with supernatural and spirituality and stuff like that?
Oh wow, I feel like I was born that way. But if we're gonna tell a
right?
story,
Same.
I would say so. Somewhere around my 11th birthday, I had a sleepover with a group of girls, and we were upstairs. And this is a very old house, like a 2-story old house with my grandparents, and then my mom and I ended up in it. And there's an old window, and I swear it was like that classic, like Captain Howdy. Now, this was back in the late 90s, so I didn't know anything about that, who that was or anything. I wouldn't find out until later that other people had experienced this Captain Howdy person. And so we're all between 9 and 12 years old, a handful of girls upstairs doing this Ouija board. Half of us are just like laughing and thinking it's nothing, and the other half are like, no, this is serious. And all of a sudden, and we had candles, we had the lights off, we had candles on, of course, you got to do it right. And so it was a birthday, mind you. So all of a sudden, this huge gust of wind starts rattling the window super hard, and we got so scared, and all of the candles almost went out. They all flickered at the same time. So we head downstairs, and we asked my mom if any wind blew super hard, and she was like, no.
You guys doing drugs up there?
Weird. Only the good stuff.
The good stuff.
No, so that was a really weird experience that to this day I have no idea what happened there. And also another weird phenomenon that other people would experience, someone named Captain Howdy.
Well, I know Captain Howdy is from The Exorcist.
It's
that's
weird. So why would
but
that
which
be?
is also based on a true thing.
Right.
So
Yeah, and maybe one of my friends moved it. I don't know how we were all very girly, like Barbie girls, so I can't imagine any of them watching The Exorcist. But hypothetically, to disprove this, we could say maybe one of my friends was moving it with their fingers.
Right. Which is what everybody says in those situations, but
that also doesn't explain the gust of wind.
Right.
Right.
How do you explain the mysterious wind?
Maybe it wasn't Captain Howdy, but something definitely happened. So that was interesting.
So is this kind of your first experience into all of this kind of realm, or you said you just been or you just feel like you've just always had some kind of connection?
Yeah. So I was a weird little kid where I would think blades of grass looked beautiful with dew on them in the morning, and spider webs.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that because you're I was very similar as a child, and you're just the weird kid. Yeah, I was talking to this about somebody the other day about how I was made fun of in school so much just because I was just always the weird kid when I was I think it was 7th or 8th grade. It was whenever they did the remake of Carrie that came out.
Yeah,
and one of the popular girls literally looked at me one day and was like, I bet you can move things with your mind like Carrie, because trying to insinuate that I was creepy. I was just the fuck is
and it
wrong
hurts
with
when
you?
you're little, but
it
now
does,
if somebody
as an
said
adult,
that,
I'm that's
yes.
the most dumbass thing to say. What kind of fucking insult was that, you piece of shit?
Yeah. If somebody said that to me today, though, I'd be like, thank you.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
That's what I
it's
should have said. But instead I think I said something along the lines if I could, you wouldn't get away with saying that to me, or something like that was my response. Something that was very clever.
Yeah.
Because I hated
when
her.
you're a kid,
she
hurts.
was always mean to me, too.
Yeah.
It wasn't a one-off. This girl was very always went out of her way to be mean to me. But that was
You had an
like,
arch
very-
nemesis.
I did.
That's
and it was like,
epic.
and that's what it was though, just because she was very like prissy, and I was very into like weird ass shit, and like wasn't shy about it. You know, like when you're little.
Yeah.
Not much has changed.
Right, that's true.
I was really good at hiding it when I was little. Now I let my freak flag fly, but you know.
You should. You
Yeah.
should. You should.
I hid it well.
Absolutely.
It was tucked away. It was like
tucked
only the
away,
special
no.
people got to go in and see the do with me, which was no one. Nobody was there.
Standing by yourself.
No, like
So sad.
the universe was there.
Yeah, the universe.
Right. The universe was
Exactly.
like, the universe was just like, give it time.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is a late bloomer. She's coming though. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
That's exactly right. So there was one other like weird experience around that time frame that I still can't really explain, where I was in the kitchen doing dishes at night, and for what I like dropped something on the ground, and I look between my legs, which is so random, like why, but I did, into like the dining room area. Same house with where the lights went out with the wind. They didn't go out all the way; they flickered, but and there was this like what people describe as like grays, but really small, like almost like a tiny like child version of one.
Like Dobby from like Harry Potter size.
Yeah, maybe a little smaller actually.
Bobby is a free elf.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, so and then when I popped up to like actually get a good look and like turn around, it was gone. So it felt like it was just like whatever it was. It felt like it was just voyeurism, like it was just watching me, like it didn't want
What are you
anything with me,
doing?
but it was just like dishes.
What is this activity
This
that
is
you're doing?
interesting.
Did you have like other things happen in this house, or is this like really the only two things that ever like really happened?
I always felt weird going up the steps, but who doesn't?
Yeah.
I feel like that's weird, right? Why do people always feel so weird going up
steps.
dark steps?
It's so funny you say the kitchen thing though, because when I was little, I remember after I saw the movie E.T., I don't know if you guys remember like the beginning where like he first like lands or crashes or whatever. There was the scene in like it's nighttime. I think like the mom's doing the dishes or something and he's like outside. I was always like, for the longest time when I was little, I was always terrified to do like dishes or clean anything at the sink because we lived in the country and we had like a window right there and I was like afraid an alien
Oh
alien
no.
out my window. And now like
How
I guess my
weird.
fear was legit.
Yeah.
How weird. Full circle.
Yeah, apparently that was like a very sound fear that I should have been afraid of.
Mine was what, Critters? Is that the one where they come up
Oh,
out
I
of the
hated that movie. Same. Oh my gosh. My dad,
Give us
like
the
my
price.
dad could turn on anything and I would sit and watch it. And there were a couple times he watched those movies and I just like had nightmares as a child. I was like
Right.
always convinced they were under my bed. And the second I fell asleep, they were going to come out and they were just going to,
Oh man, I love.
they
that
were just
movie.
going to go to town on me and I was going to be gone. They were just going to eat me to death.
Oh
I
man.
love
Now
that
I've
movie.
watched it as an adult a couple times and I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's
this
hilarious.
is so stupid. Like, how was I afraid of this?
Yeah.
It's an hilarious movie.
Like it's on the level of Chud. It's like
Yeah.
not
It's
not
so
anything.
funny that like things like that you're afraid of as a child and then you watch as an adult. Like,
Well, mine was House,
Really?
which is like a total schlock B movie.
Oh,
but
yeah,
when I was
that's
a
a
kid,
great
that was
movie.
it scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
Yes.
there's also like a live action children's version. Like, there's several of them, but there's one specific one of Alice in Wonderland. And when I was really little, I was afraid of like the Jabberwocky in it. And I went back and watched it as an adult a couple years ago. And like,
Yep.
I'm just going to say it's embarrassing that I was afraid of that.
That's kind of how it goes.
Yeah,
Well, the
so-
Skeksis, those were a little intimidating as a child.
What was it?
The Skeksis,
Yeah.
the
Okay.
Dark Crystal.
Yes,
Yes, I
okay.
know.
I
I was
was-
gonna say, I agree with
Totally,
that.
I totally missed that
this
one.
is-
Yeah.
How did you? Yeah, no, you didn't. Dark
You knew.
Crystal?
You knew. You had to watch the Dark Crystal. You just don't remember what the Skeksis were.
I couldn't
you
remember the
did.
name. Yeah.
No.
No, I've seen it. I just couldn't remember the name. Yeah.
But yeah, they were, for some reason, I don't know if it's the way they walked. You know how things will have like a creepy walk and that'll do it for you?
I think it was just all together. I think it was the walk, but also like just the like build of them was very like.
Unnatural.
Yeah,
almost,
as a
like-
child, you're just like this is gonna eat me.
It's gonna eat me. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And that's like, yeah.
No, thank you. But that was it that happened at that house. So after that, the next probably weird thing that happened was there's a place, there's like an apartment complex called Cherry Valley Lodge, where there's Cherry Valley Apartments. It's by the Cherry Valley Lodge. And it's also right next to a golf course. What it is, the golf course is now over top of what was an Indian trading ground.
I was just going to say that. I
knew
know
this
what
was
you're
coming.
talking. I was going to ask you. I was like, is that the one that's like, because I think I know what you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know where you're going with this.
There's like separate, so in Newark, Ohio, there's separate Indian
I know exactly
mounds.
the place you're talking about.
And
Exactly.
people, you know, when you're a kid, you speculate all the things like, is it burial grounds? Was it like a sacred place? I guess it was a trading ground, if I remember correctly. So people from different tribes would go there and trade goods. And anyway, there's now a golf course over top of one of them, and then an apartment complex as well. So in the apartment complex, some weird things happen. So I don't know if maybe there's some bad energy.
I wouldn't even leave that as an I don't know. My general theory is if you build anything over top of anything Native American where there has been death, you are screwed. You are just, it's just a fact. You're gonna have some bad things happen to you because you should not have done that.
So did you experience anything in those? Or?
Yeah, I did. There was that was probably the scariest of the things. So my mom was friends with the lady there, and they would go out and I would babysit. I was a teenager, I don't know, 15, 16, somewhere in there. And there was one night where I was trying to make a bottle, and my friend was there with me, and she was on the couch watching MTV. Like this, that's how long ago this was. MTV was still a thing.
MTV.
And the couch is kind of off to the side, and then the kitchen is next to it. And there's a wall that kind of separates, and on the wall is the light switch, like a set of switches. And I'm trying to make a bottle that is in the refrigerator where my back would be to the light switches. And all of a sudden the lights go off, and I get mad and I start yelling at her that I'm trying to do something. And she's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I think she's pranking me at this point.
Right.
And I go back about my business, like annoyed and trying to get this bottle out of the bottom of the fridge. And the light goes off again. And I yell at her again. And then I'm getting really upset. Like, bruh, stop. I'm trying to get this bottle made.
Stop it.
Stop. You're harshing my mellow. Stop. So I've got the bottle out now of the fridge, which was an ordeal since the light kept going off. And I'm getting ready to heat it up in the microwave, and the light goes off again. And this time I'm close enough to where I can turn around to see if she looks like she just sat in the couch or something. But she was laid out. Like, this girl had not moved. You could tell she was vegging on the couch, and it was too far away for her to be that comfortable by the time I turned around. So
right.
And the light switch, I finally noticed that she was gone. The light switch was where it was supposed to be. So it wasn't like someone was pushing the switch up and down. It was just off. And it was not something that happened all the time. It wasn't like an electrical thing where this was
a constant problem
right.
with the electric, yeah.
It was weird. And we would hear things in the baby monitor, which of course you hear things in the baby monitor.
Right. That's what the baby monitor's for.
Right. But it was a lot of scary stuff in the baby monitor, like people yelling at each other. Like it sounded like murders and stuff. It was weird. And then I'm not done. There's so many things that happened.
You're like, oh, there's more.
There's more. So, because if you break these things apart, it's not a big deal. But when you put them all together, I'm going to paint you a picture that's no, you're not babysitting there anymore.
Yeah.
So aside from these things, the baby's room was upstairs, and also the bathroom. And I would be downstairs watching TV because at the time in the 90s, you had one TV in the house, not 5.
Right.
And so I'm in the living room watching probably MTV again, and the baby's upstairs sleeping, and all of a sudden I hear the water running upstairs. And
you're like, what's the baby doing?
Yeah.
This is a very smart baby.
So I went upstairs, and the water was on, like as if someone had washed their hands. I didn't wash my hands, and I don't think the baby
clearly did
that
not.
can't even like crawl was washing her hands.
No.
So I turn the water off. I take the baby downstairs with me because I'm not going back upstairs.
I also wouldn't want to leave the baby there.
Right.
I'd be like, I'm not leaving this baby here.
Yeah.
I've seen the first episode of Supernatural. I'm not leaving this baby here.
So I take the baby with me. She goes in a playpen, and we sit right by the door the rest of the night, just ready, just sitting there by the door. And so that was fun. The water did turn back on. And I just left it on that time. I was like, nope, I'm not going
this
back
is not
up
my
there.
problem
This is
anymore.
not a me
So was it
thing.
was it like leaking running, or like someone
No, like
actually
running.
turned on like the water?
Yes, full blast.
fuck that.
Running. Yeah.
I would have probably done the same thing. I probably would have been like,
Grab the baby, be
no, I
right
don't
by
have
the
time for
door.
this.
Oh man.
Because I couldn't just go outside with the baby, but I was like ready just in case. And then I'm going to save the best for last, but there's another weird phenomenon that doesn't seem supernatural until I think about just the general energy of the place. And this is not a humble brag. I'm actually a little concerned about it, but I was playing basketball, and there wasn't even a real hoop. It was just me and the kids that lived there shooting, pretending that there's a hoop against like a part of the building, a part of the brick.
That's fine.
It's
You
like
got to
you,
do
like-
what you got to do.
It's
Right.
like, hey, you hit that spot, that's a score.
Exactly.
Yeah, been there, done that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this kid, about my size, like, I have the basketball, and he's not getting it from me, and he takes my head and slams it into the car door.
What a jerk.
Yeah. So twice he slams my head in the car door, and supernaturally I get this. I chalked it up to an adrenaline rush, but I chase him through his apartment because he starts to run. He sees a look in my eyes and he runs. And they have the sliding glass doors in the back, so he goes through the front door. His whole family's just like scoots off to the side and is watching us run through the house. I chase him all the way. There's several buildings in this apartment complex, and then at the end there's a playground. So I chase him all the way around this apartment complex, all the way to the playground. I almost got him, but he got away. I chase him all the way back to the exact spot. I get the back of his shirt. He goes down. I go into a weird rage that I don't even know exists inside of me. I hit his head in the car door twice. And then the other car door. And then the ground. And my friend Vonda pulls me off of him. He's okay. I hope he learned a lesson. But it's just so weird because we were all friends and neither of us really have that kind of energy. So it was just a really, really, really weird. I've never had that energy again unless I really needed it to protect myself. But I'm not a violent person, so it's just a really like, why at this place?
Where did that come
Yeah.
from? Like
Right.
that severe?
Yeah.
I mean, like if something, yeah, because like bad energy can fuck
It'll
you
feed,
up.
yeah, and it can. I mean, it could feed
Yeah.
off something like that,
Especially
like
if you're kids, because then it could really
yeah.
like latch on.
Right. We were small. Yeah. And the worst thing that happened there was, and I'll never show this video to my son, but it was at 3 a.m., which I tell myself there's nothing to that, but I've had a weird experience where in the same apartment across from the baby's room is the lady who lived there. But when she was gone, I would sleep in her bed, and because they would get back late. And one night I woke up and I turned over. I don't even know why I woke up because it wasn't about the baby. It had nothing to, I just did. And when I looked over, there was like this, like a Rottweiler or Doberman kind of like see-through dog staring directly at me with glowing red eyes. And I just covered my head.
That's all you can do sometimes.
Nope. Just, I don't know why you're here. I stared at it from what seemed like an eternity. And I felt like I stepped foot on hell and then like just covered myself real quick and came back. Like it was just so intense and scary. It felt like it was coming to take me. It was so weird. I was like, nope, not ready.
We're
No.
not doing this.
We're not doing this.
Not right now.
Ah.
Bye. I don't see you, so you go away.
Right. I can't see you. You can't see me. That's how this works, right?
I would just get up and like go downstairs and watch TV.
Yeah.
That was my like knee jerk
Come back.
reaction.
Maybe you'll be gone later.
Yeah.
Every time something weird happened at night, that was my knee jerk reaction. I'm like, well, I'm awake. I'm gonna go watch TV now.
Yeah.
And wait till the sun comes up, and I'm gonna go back to sleep.
Yeah. It's amazing what you can deal with as a child.
Right.
You really just,
As
like,
an
push
adult,
through.
no. Like you, yeah. That would be a whole different thing as an adult.
Right. I'd be psychoanalyzing
Oh,
myself.
man.
Like, this is probably my projection of some XYZ, bullcrap that happened to me, like, from this experience.
And then I would never go back to sleep, and I would have to go to work tired.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't tell anybody at work because I'd be like, everybody's going to think I'm a crazy pants.
Yes.
That's happened to me with a shadow person. Same thing. I like woke up like something crazy in the room, and then I was like, well, 4 a.m. to not going back to sleep, and I'd be at work at like 7:30 in the morning. Okay, so after you lived in this crazy apartment,
I didn't live there. I was just watching a kid there sometimes on the weekend.
Yeah.
that's even worse.
When I told the lady what I saw, she was like unfazed. She was just like, oh, yeah.
That happens sometimes.
Yeah, like why didn't you think to tell me that your place does weird stuff?
Because if she told you that, then she wouldn't have a babysitter anymore. Don't you know that?
Grandfather in like Lost Boys, and he's like, I hate vampires at the very end. It's like, you knew about this entire time?
Yeah, that's true. He did.
Thanks, bruh.
The thing about living in Santa Carla, I never could stomach. All the damn vampires.
Good looking out.
Dude, that's nuts.
Just like, whatever.
Yeah. So that was fun stuff. That was at Cherry Valley. I don't think you should build over top of what they have there.
Yeah.
And some bad vibes. It makes me wonder what the energy was like before. Was it like really pure and beautiful and powerful? Because like if all of that negative is there now, what was it before? Because that's intense.
Yeah, talking about like remaining like energy kind of like lasting and it like becoming bad. Like I'm kind of amazed that like we're in this spooky ass basement. It's 100 years old and it's like nothing.
Yeah, there's absolutely
like not a damn thing. And it's like you go to an apartment building that was just like freshly built and it's like fucking crazy. So I don't know. Some of that shit works.
I think some stuff just like resonates, and if you disturb it, it stirs it up, and then
it's also how much like stuff has either not been disturbed or how much it has been disturbed, because it's like something where it's built and then torn down, then built again, and torn down and built again. It's like there's so much stuff that's been there.
Leave me alone. I just want to be dead.
Not letting the dust settle. Yeah.
It's like one or the other. It's either it cleanses the palate or it's like you're just constantly adding new crap to the crap that was already there. So
yeah, I could see that being.
I've never specifically lived anywhere that was like haunted or had like vibes like that. I've been places, but like, or I've had things follow me sometimes, but I never actually lived somewhere that I'm like, okay, this place is haunted.
Have you?
I don't think so. But yeah, definitely some weird experiences at some places that I've been.
Yeah.
And they seem to be specific to, their area. I don't feel like I've had anything follow me. Luckily, at least I'd like to keep it that way.
You should be very happy about that.
Yeah.
I've had that happen to me a couple times, and it was not fun. It was not a fun experience, because I feel like that's one of those things too. If something follows you, like, you don't always realize right away that's what it is. It kind of takes like some time for you to realize, oh shit.
I've experienced both, where it's like I've gotten chased out of fucking places, and then I've also had like something follow me, but it didn't feel like bad or negative. Or it's like we'll be walking like in a park or something like that, and like the same animal would keep popping up occasionally or some shit like that. So I get like both. I've experienced like the positive and like the really bad stuff. Like I've been chased out of a forest. I've been chased out of a storage unit. That was the most random place.
Yeah, I've never been chased. Oh, yeah, that's a, yeah. I've never been chased off somewhere, but I've mentioned before, like, my experience with cemeteries is like, I pick up on a lot of energy there, and I know like there are certain places where like people just want to be left alone. Like I can pick up those energies and those vibes of like somebody doesn't want you near where they are. Like they just want to be fucking left alone, or they didn't have like the best death, or, you know, it's like, I know, like those places when I'm walking around and I can like pick up things. That's actually how I had something follow me home once though. Was I went too close to somewhere I shouldn't have. And I probably didn't leave when I was being told to leave. I know I didn't leave when I was being told to leave.
This sounds like a whole story.
It is. And yeah, it's a fun story. But anyway, the point of me talking about like the cemetery and things like that, I think it's really possible, like it with your experience with the Native American things being built on top of the mounds, like that energy resonates and it's possible to stir it up and cause issues like that. That makes absolute and total sense to me.
Have you experienced like positive like vibes or energy or something like that, or like had like positive like things? We always kind of go towards like the dark, but sometimes like hearing the more positive stuff.
That's true. I will say I've had positive things happen to me. I don't think I've ever told them. Like,
well, this time do it.
This might be the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like more so energy, I would say, than like spectral, like you know, not like a ghost per se or anything like that, but more so just like an ethereal feeling, I guess, where you just you just suddenly feel warm in an area, like a light shining on you or like a weight lifted, and it's kind of unexplainable. Like, why when I walk here do I feel like the sun release? So that's a really cool, weird phenomenon.
Yeah.
I've definitely had that happen. Again, back to the cemetery thing. I've had a instance where I was like in a cemetery and I had that all of a sudden feeling where I was like just very happy. Like it was like, you know, when you're happy about something to the point where like you're almost in tears, like it was that intense. And I felt like very like, I guess lightweighted and like, you know, like, oh, like happy. And then like I looked, the only thing I can guess, because I was in the section, you know, the cemeteries have the sections where like the older tombstones are. It was like an older one, and the dates I remember seeing, like the person had lived a long life, was definitely considered long for that time and period. And I was like, all I could think is that person probably lived a long time and probably maybe lived a very full and happy life. And that's what that was. And yeah, then when I walked away, it was gone. It's like, I just want to go back over there. Can I just keep that all the time with me? But thank you for sharing that with me. But like, I just want to keep that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a cleansing area. It's weird, but it's cool.
Yeah, I've done that like going to like a park or on a hike, and just like all of a sudden you just get this clearing. It's like, wow, that's just something just feels really good here.
Yeah, I think that's why part of the reason like I kind of like going to cemeteries. I don't like to go by myself because I have like bad experiences sometimes. But I think part of the reason I like doing it is because I like walking around and getting those different feelings, because it's almost like people are sharing like parts of what they lived with me, like, which is kind of neat. Like,
yeah,
kind of neat that they're like somebody's, you know, like willing to share that with you. Like, oh, I was really happy. And even the people that are, you know, are pissed off and want to be left alone, at least you're sharing that with me, I guess. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, it's really intimate.
Right.
Yeah,
it is. I think that's the perfect word. It feels it's a very intimate thing. Like, I will generally like, I don't like to go by myself because of the bad experiences I've had, but like generally if I go with someone, I don't want them with me walking around. Like, I will go give me space to do it by myself, because it is really intimate thing. And I feel like having somebody else's energy right beside me ruins it. So I'll prefer to just like, that person can go. You can go do whatever. I'm going to be, I'll let you know if I need you, but
no static interference.
Yes, but like, yeah, it is very intimate, I feel like, too. Especially when it is the positive feelings like that. It's like I had this connection with this person, and you know.
Yeah. So this is gonna be odd. Please just brace yourself. I'm gonna get real weird with you guys now for just a moment.
That's what we're here for. You have the perfect audience. I mean, you can tell people brace themselves, but I think anybody that's listening does not need to brace themselves. They're like, bring it on. That's what I'm here for.
Yep.
Buckle up. So yeah, I did touch a tree once, and there was an energy exchange. So I was trying to see its aura, It's something I used to be able to do when I was younger, and I can't do it anymore, and it's really frustrating because, like, I just became a part of the city.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and just kind of lost all the magic that I had, or I thought, right? But it was just dormant. It's coming back. But when I was walking through the woods, I walked past this particular tree, and just it felt like it wanted me to touch it, which was really weird. And I was like, I don't know if I'm into that tree, you know. So like, no, I don't know if I swing that way, but maybe. So I walked past it because there's people walking by, and I don't want to be the weird person touching the tree.
I like her; she's pretty.
So I wait for these people to go ahead, and I come back, and I'm like, "Can I touch you?" And I touch the tree, and I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. I'm just kind of being guided, and I don't know by what. It just is happening. Seduced by the wood.
Still taking it out of context.
Seduced by the wood.
Taking it out of context. I can't help it. Just continue your story. I'm just going to scoot my mic back a little bit, so if I start laughing, I'm not interrupting you.
What?
I like how we're just taking it the wrong way, but then you're like feeding into it. You're like, yeah, continue.
I don't know. It doesn't feel wrong, so I'm just going with it.
Okay, so we're touching the tree.
God damn it. So you were waiting for the people to pass, and they did.
You touched
and then you went back to the tree.
If you could touch it. The tree's like, yeah, man.
Yeah, and it felt right for both of us. So what happened at that point was an energy flow. So I expected something to happen. I just didn't know exactly what. What happened kind of blew my mind. It was way more than I expected, and it was crazy. So, like, I'll try to put it into words. Imagine if you just turned into particles and you weren't actually a human in a physical body while still being a human in a physical body. And you're flowing with the universe, with the tree, and then the tree is also flowing, like, with you, like this, a whole energy exchange. But it's not just you and the tree. It was like everything.
Wow.
Maybe, like,
it was like a portal.
do you think if
really
you
cool.
went back and
Yeah,
found
it
that
was
same
awesome.
tree, that if somehow we're able to find that same tree, that would happen again?
I have been back, and it is not.
Oh.
It's not there anymore.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So,
It was
no.
like
So
a
it might-
one-night stand,
It might
I guess.
not. It might not have been the
Sorry.
actual tree. It might have been whatever energy was using the tree as like a conduit.
It was showing me what was inside of me and what was around the universe. Just like here's a little baby footstool for you because you don't really, you're
Because
almost
you're a
there.
human and you don't understand things.
Exactly.
That is nuts.
Human.
So baby steps through the hallway, Bob. And
I'm glad you just made that reference. I make that reference all the time, by the way.
I love you. So, but yeah, I feel like it was just kind of like, here's the door. Walk through it, please. And so, but now I can feel the energy exchange all the time. I don't need the tree anymore. But that was a really cool experience. Now, I still can't necessarily see auras the way that I used to be able to. But I have hope that, one door closes and maybe something even better opens. So now I feel like I can ward off a lot of unnecessary stress and anxiety just by flowing with the universe, which is really cool.
I feel like that's really cool, and I feel like that's something not a lot of people can do. Like, just because of the way, like, modern society, just the everyday stress of, like, modern society and the way our, like, lives work in modern days, and there's so much technology, I think.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like an old person, but I feel like just technology has gotten to a point it's definitely, like, ruined our ability to do things like that in the first place. And I strongly feel that, like, that's part of the reason, back to the story of, like, the Native American mound and building things on top of it. I feel like that's why they were able to have such strong, powerful things like that, because they were very connected with nature. So I feel like we should do more of that as a society in general. I feel like nature is just very important, and a lot of people take advantage of it.
Have you been to the certain mound down like near Cincinnati?
I've been there.
I have not.
I've been there.
I have not.
Not since I was little.
I haven't been there either.
But,
And I know because it's one of the oldest. It's one of the oldest man-made sites that's known, and I've always wanted to go there because I've heard the energy there is insane. So after the experience with the tree, did that kind of open up your world to energy work and doing the Reiki stuff that you do and stuff like that?
Yeah. So I grew up with Christianity and never really accepted it because I had a lot of questions when I was a child, and they would just kind of brush me off instead of answering those when I was curious.
Yeah, I don't think that's healthy ever to brush them off. I think it's always important to answer those questions.
Now I'm not curious, and I've studied other religions, not at full length, but just got a basic idea of other religions. And I kind of just meshed them all together. I'm not necessarily a pagan or a Buddhist or, but I do definitely respect different aspects of them, but I just don't associate with anything. I just everything is just a feeling for me. So just close your eyes and wing it. And that's kind of what I do. But I do feel very spiritual and very in tune with things. And I've recently thought about sharing that with others. But the reason I brought up Christianity is because in the back of my mind, I definitely have this don't push it on people. Don't.
Yeah. I don't think you should push anything on anybody because for that reason, your experience, as far as what you feel and what you believe after researching it, is different than what somebody else's might be. Because I will say a similar thing. I've researched various religions, not just modern day ones, but different ones throughout history. And I, similar thing, but I do personally, kind of, I guess, identify more with pagan. I'm not just oh, but I do also believe in the same sense. Like you said, I believe in the long run though, whatever you believe, as long as it's not harmful to the universe or to other people, I believe in the end, we all, there's just we all connect. In the end, we're just, as long as we're making healthy choices for ourselves, then we're all just all that energy just connects in the end. So it's
the collective.
Just do whatever fits best for you, I guess. I don't know. There's people in Christianity, and I think the ideal is that there's God, and I don't know. I guess I don't want to I know that's a sensitive subject, but I personally feel there is an energy, and maybe that's what they call God, but maybe that's not what I call it, and that's all connected, and it really doesn't matter how you get to that energy. That's just
as long as you get there.
Just that's just what it wants. Just get there, and if that's how you whatever path you take to get there to this positive energy is as long as you got there in the end, and you practice it, and you're kind to the universe and you're kind to other people, that's really what matters. And I think the big part of that is you really need to be open-minded.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And open yourself up to things your tree experience. Not a lot of people would open up to that.
Be vulnerable and brave. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It was a very vulnerable moment. I didn't know what was going to happen. Yeah. I feel like the best you can hope for is some grace. Hopefully I get some grace out of this.
Right.
Maybe. But yeah, positivity is hard. And,
it is.
And you get seduced by the negativity. It's so much easier. It's so much more palatable. But when you experience the positivity, it's so shocking and definitely kind of wakes you up. And when the only thing that really I don't like about some other religions that I don't embrace, that I do embrace with some, there's different areas of that, and I respect all of them, but what resonates with me more is that you're not relying, and this goes with life too, just everything that I've learned recently, is you're not relying on someone else to save you. It's not Disney,
right? Where
there's a prince and they're gonna save you. You need to subscribe to somebody else coming to the rescue that you worship. They're rescuing you. It's you rescue yourself and you're in alignment and you're flowing with everything.
Yeah.
And it's just love. It's just love and grace there. And there's nothing bad. And you can rely on yourself and you can rely on the universe. Like you can rely on God or Allah or whatever it is you subscribe to. But I feel like it's empowering. It doesn't want you to feel like you're less than. You're
right.
a part
Like
of.
it's more inclusive.
Yeah.
Versus like that feeling of being like.
I always feel like when people are like, oh, Jesus is like out there, like has a plan for me, or whatever deity or thing, it's like it's kind of a cop out.
No, you got your own plan. Like you
Yeah,
make your own
like,
plan.
That's exactly it. It's like I feel like when you're like, if something is like, oh, something is going to, like,
I don't know. I feel like it's sometimes I've seen where it's a cop out to do something that maybe wasn't the right choice.
right?
But because that road I was on wasn't my plan,
Well,
so I had to do this bad thing to get out of it. And I'm like, well, no, you made a mistake is what it was, and that's a human error, and that happens, and it's gonna happen, and it's gonna continue to happen because that's part of life. And the point is that you learn from it.
There could be multiple plans, and it depends on where you walk, what the path is, and it may change. Like you co-create, and maybe there are predestined things that will happen, and in this timeline you're aligning with this, and in this timeline you're aligning with that, like multi-dimensional.
Oh, listen.
It's very abstract, but
It's a whole
it's a whole thing.
It's a whole episode we've done. We're gonna we could do again.
Yeah,
It's very
the multiverse.
the multiverse. Yeah, it's very like, and I feel like, but I do say like to dabble in that. I do say sometimes that plays in like you could have this really big fork in the road and you make one choice, but then a whole like another universe. Maybe you made the other choice. So I feel like sometimes I just get really intense deja vu sometimes. Like it's real intense, and I feel like that's what it is. And like when I get it, it's like in that moment I'm like, I swear up and down, I'm like, this exact thing that's happening, I have a memory of this happening already. And that's exact. It doesn't feel like it doesn't just feel like it's happened. It's like I have a visual memory that this happened, but I know it didn't.
that's so wild. Yes. And which version of you are you? I just apologized and held in some realm, maybe in the fifth dimension, the me so I just got out of a really, really bad life. Like I'm just getting into alignment with something better. And I'm a completely reborn person. So that typically sounds like I was hooked on da-da-da and da-da-da, and then I found God. No, it's not like that. But
that's not what she's saying.
yeah, it's not your typical. It was more like single mom struggling for money, that kind of thing. A lot of like very relatable. Not that anybody can't go through anything, but just your typical but really shitty story, and very real, because you and your kid gotta have a food, you gotta have a place to live, and all that. So, but I was in this like. There's this other Melissa that may still be in that timeline somewhere, still struggling, not realizing her potential or what life can be in this lack mentality.
I think
scarcity
about
mindset.
a similar thing sometimes too. Like what I like,
Just
and
hug
it's very
them.
humbling. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very humbling. Be like, maybe the other me didn't get out of this really
Right.
bad situation, and they're still stuck there. And like, you're just like, man, it is humbling because you're like, I want to hug that person, and I want to like. And I hope that they have the opportunity to have some, fork in the road, or be able to make some choice or pave their own way, I guess, too, to like get out of it.
Yes.
But then you wonder too, does that version of me, do they have that knowledge and like same internal like compassion at this point in their life to be able to do that? Or have they just not learned that yet because maybe nobody gave it to them? I don't know. I think about these things.
That part of myself.
These are the things I think about when I go to bed at night sometimes.
I'm not surprised.
Was I a martyr for myself?
Right.
Like,
and well, not just myself, but like people I know too. I'm like, I wonder if this person, or like, just like, like, does this person like have an alternate self that is like maybe say somebody that just like is a really shitty person. I'm like, is there just an alternate self of them that's better?
That's really nice.
That's really nice, and is like doing that, is like looking, is like doing the same thing, having the same perspective of like, oh, if there's a crappy version of me out there, I hope they're doing better. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Also makes me wonder how many versions of yourself you think there are.
Infinite, probably.
Yeah. Right.
Probably infinite.
But I feel like with that aspect, it's also sometimes hard to, like, when you're really frustrated and you're going through something bad, just to, like, part of you be like, I wonder what, like, one of my alternate selves is doing better. Like, I wonder if their life's better than mine. Like, I want to switch with them. Yeah, can I switch with them? Like, can we just switch?
High five, tap out. Hey,
Right.
tag me in.
Yeah.
I got you.
But at the same time, like when you're like get out of those moments where you're not struggling, you realize, oh, that's not like, you know, like that's not a healthy choice to make, is just tap out. Like, it's like you gotta persevere through it.
Yeah, ride the wave.
Right. You have to. That's the only way. Like, you strengthen those connections that you have with like the world.
I feel really blessed to have met you both.
Thanks, considering we just met. Like,
Like, well, I knew you guys would get along.
I mean,
I knew you guys would get along.
The energy is off the
we
charts.
just met.
You
like,
guys can feel it through the
a
camera.
couple hours ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like we're the same person, but not.
Well, I have a story that I could share with you. That's because I'm all about relatable and palatable.
Okay.
So I'm never going to preach to you or tell you, like, do this thing. But I will definitely tell you my experience and then take from it what you will.
Okay.
So yesterday or the day before, so I'm still coming out of this. I'm still transitioning into the Phoenix. Okay, so just be mindful of that. I'm definitely stepping into my high priestess. Don't get me wrong, but, you know, it's a process. So
You'll get there.
yeah, so I'm sitting... I have this like stool next to my bed, and I was sitting on it, and life was coming at me. I'm still in a situation where I live with my ex who cheated on me because of finances, and of course that's very hard, right? Like, that's emotionally draining. So how do I stay on top of that and still become like this?
Right.
So I do things like, and you just are like pulling there's like the negativity out of your heart and elongating. You're just stretching your body and just feeling it come out. And maybe you got some negative thoughts in there too. Now, I noticed that when I do this with my hand, like this, I'm like pulling it, I just kind of drop it. So I did this with my spine too, because I was also just carrying a lot of weight, and I just imagined my whole exoskeleton, just like there were multiples of them, and I'm just pulling them out, just sitting straight up and just pulling them out slowly, just what feels like a right speed for you.
So it's really like about harnessing energy.
And then, but when I would put my hand like this, I was drawing energy in, and I wasn't ready to do that yet. I was still releasing.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So pay attention to your body and what you're getting and receiving. Just be
I
in
feel
that
like
moment.
also too with that hand motion, like this is dropping something versus like this, you're more like, if I had like a physical, say if I had like a pile of confetti in my hand and I went like this, it would come back on me a little bit. So it's like, I think that's probably also like part of it too, is maybe if you're doing that, then you're not fully, it's just coming back down on you.
Yeah, not releasing. You got to release that. And then you can bring in more joy, more awesomeness, more light.
Yeah, sucking the energy of the weird, creepy basement.
It's beautiful. I love it. Yeah.
You say suck in the energy of the weird, creepy basement. Like visually, it's weird and creepy, but like energy-wise, it's fantastic because we're here.
I mean, I've been down here like in the dark with a flashlight at 3 a.m. like no problem at all. Well, yeah, whatever. Like,
this is just my basement.
Yeah,
it's my murder basement. Where no murders have ever occurred, by the way.
I don't know why, but immediately I was just like, it's my dead body.
Yeah.
We found it first.
So on that note, we're going to wrap up. How can people find you? Do you want to share your Instagram?
So, yeah, I mean, You guys can find me at Gnarly Rad.
Also, look out for her YouTube channel of Shadow and Light, which should be coming out this fall. You can follow us on all social media at The Spooky Door. Find our merch at thespookydoor.com. If you're watching this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you're listening to the podcast, please rate us. Yeah, we want to thank Mel for being on the show with us. What an incredible, awesome, joyous episode that we did, and it was kind of really funny too. So,
Touch the tree.
Yeah, touch those trees.
It wants you to.
Yeah.
And with that, journey with us next time through the Spooky Door.
Ha 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 ha!